Okay, we're back to 912. I shoved some rags in the torsion bar tube to keep junk out of there while I fixed all that. So I seam sealed and painted that. I need to do some more work here and possibly weld on the back, but I'm going to do that when the car's off the lift. It'll be a lot easier to get to. So anyway, got everything cleaned up and I'm ready to put the torsion bar back in, which is right here. So it has a protective layer of grease on it. And I don't remember what we talked about earlier, but I think these, we'll go into more detail, but these bars have a different spline count. I think it's 40 inside, 44 outside. So it's only going to go in one way. You want to keep this layer of grease intact. That's what keeps it from rusting. And you don't want to nick it, because that can lead to, I guess, a stress riser and make it break. So that's back in there. I have the spring plate all cleaned up. Get you back a little more where you can see. So I went ahead and blasted it and painted it. These are, find my new ones. So there's a rubber bushing that goes in that hole right there, and actually goes on the spring plate like so. And I think originally these might have been bonded to it. I don't know what's going to hurt if it's not, but what I did on the other side, since I've already done a dry run with this one and put it back together, I couldn't find any silicone grease anywhere, so I'm doing Blaster silicone lubricant. I'm going to shoot a little on the pieces. It seems to stay pretty sticky, help everything move and not squeak. I mean, not sticky, but it adheres to the rubber, I guess is what I'm looking for. So now the spring plate will slide on their splines all the way up inside that part, which I'm sure you can't see, but there's splines up in there. And that is what engages these splines on the outside. Now, so this will go on. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and I thought I had that cleaned out, but I'm going to spray some more brake cleaner down in there and get all, I think I have some little glass beads still in there. So let me get them out of there and we'll bring it back. Okay, that's cleaned out. Still a little gritty sounding, but it's going on. So there's a different number of splines on the inside and the outside. So you can set the angle of this spring plate within, I think, 0.9 degrees by varying the combination of where it is on the inside set of splines and on the outside set of splines. So, since I want to raise the height of this car a little bit, so when I lowered this originally, I think we just took the spring plate off and turned it like one whole turn, or two splines or something, and said, oh, that was good, and there was no real science involved in it. So what I did is I measured all my ride height and everything. I don't know if you can see any of this. Not really. So we'll set up and we'll have a little half lesson. Okay, so to set the torsion bar angle, you measure the angle at the sill of the car. If the car is not sitting level, and that's your zero. Then you measure the angle of the spring plate and figure out what your angle is supposed to be. So for 912 it's 33 degrees. In 911s it's 36, I guess because the 911's way more. So that angle will determine what your ride height with the weight of the car on it. So here's where we saw it. So you can adjust it through the spline arrangement I was talking about. On the inner end of the torsion bar 40, and on the outside there 44. So this acts as vernier for adding and adjusting radius arm. So one spline at the inner end is 9 degrees, one spline at the outer end is 8 degrees 10 minutes. So you can get it down to 50 minutes is what you can adjust it to. So that's, you know, 5/6 of a degree. So that's what we're after. I measured all this when I took it apart, and let me zoom you in here. I measured what my angle was, and I want to, it was 26.5 degrees. So I want to increase this distance here, we'll call that A. I want to increase that distance. I want to add an inch to it. So I want to turn the spring plate down to get the ride height I'm looking for. So what I did is I went to a book and I found the law of sines, and that allows me, through the law of sines, having some knowns to figure out what I need to make that angle to get my inch over here. So by doing all that, I came up with, I need to make that angle, originally we were 26.5 degrees. To get that extra inch, I need to be 28.39 or 28.4. So that's what we're shooting for, 28.4 inches, 28.4 degrees on the spring plate. So now that we're in a digital age, we have fancier tools than they did when that book was published. So we are in the door here, and of course my light went out. So that is our door sill, and we're call it about 0.3 degrees, but I'm going to zero that. Now our reference from here to the spring plate should be good. So let's see what we have. My big light decided to die on me. So we were after the magic number 28.4. I know right now that's going to be way too low. So let's. I got the other side nailed like spot on. Let me get this close. For whatever reason, on this side, the brake line is right in the way. Let's see what that looks like. Way too high. All right, I'm going to rig up something to pull this back so we're not hitting the brake line. So, after much wrestling with this thing, pretty much found I'd go up one on the inside and down one on the outside, and I eventually worked my way up there, and that's about as close to 28.4 as I think we're going to be able to get. So anyway, that was a huge pain. I should have filmed the other side. It took me about 5 minutes. Anyway, so now that that's there, there is another bushing here somewhere I need to locate. We will place that inside this cover that goes in there, and then we'll start bolting that back together. So this bushing is considerably larger. Slides, bonk. Slides on the outside, like so. Lube that thing up. And this cover goes on like that. And I'll knock that down in there. We get that pushed in, then we'll put the bolts in. Okay, those three are started. This bottom one right here has this spacer, which acts like a stop for the control arm. So we'll put some anti-seize on it. See if I can get that thing in there without dropping it. Noise alarm. Okay, next we'll put the rest of this back together and try to figure out some way to align this thing.